Did you not think I had a professional setup?
This is pretty professional.
What did you think I was doing back here with my little podcast?
I kind of imagined you inside of a genie bottle with like a whole setup and not too far from where we are right now, to be honest.
Yeah. Living reality of Danielle doing her podcast.
I like it.
You know me. No, we're in my living room.
Yes, we are.
Let's be real. This is not a fancy recording studio that I called upon you for you. So any of your listeners that are listening to be like, oh my God, Jess was on a podcast. You're like, yeah, it was in my girlfriend's living room.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's a cute living room, but
yeah,
alas, a living room.
Yeah, this is true.
Welcome to the show. Danielle Mercury. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Philadelphia, brace yourself for a heavenly evening with angels we have heard while high. A holiday CBD and sound bath experience. Join Danielle, Jess, and their friends for a spirited night to celebrate the season, relax with CBD-infused holiday elixirs, and a guided movement meditation and sound immersion that will take you out of this world and flying high. You won't want to miss out on this one-of-a-kind experience on December 16th. Held at the converted church base, the Deacon. All proceeds benefit the children attending Camp Excellence this summer in the city. Go to daniellemercurio.com/Danielle's-events to sign up.
Hello, my loves. We are closing out the Friendsgiving Series with a very special friend. You're going to end this episode feeling like this woman is your special friend, and she's going to encourage you to do special things to help befriend yourself, which is honestly the goal for all of this. You know, this series is all about some of the people that I adore most in my life, and I attest a lot of my true friendships from the fact that I've been able to be such a good friend to myself. And through befriending myself, I can also be in a space where I can accept opening up and being vulnerable and asking for support. And the women that I've been able to share with you allow me to do that, which is really beautiful, really gorgeous. And tonight's leading lady is a dear friend, Jess Naim. And Naim, am I saying it right? Oh my God, I'm totally fucking up my friend's name. Oh, and her name sounds like Naim. Why can't I say it out loud? I can say it in my head. Well, Jess is so chill and awesome that she's totally gonna like laugh at this part and just be like, nah, it's fine, whatever you want to call it, Danielle. So Jess and I connected upon my return to Philadelphia. So when I came back to Philly 2 years ago, even though I had lived here before, I had been gone for 5 years. And so it's not like you just leave and step right back into your life. You know, friendships have changed, people have moved, individuals have gotten married, changed jobs, had babies. And so the relationship with a lot of individuals changed. While some of my friends definitely ride or die, were still here. We were able to pick up where we left off. Other friendships faded or closed out. So I was really open to finding a community of spiritual sisters within Philly. And Jess was someone that was on my radar through Spirit Junkie. She had done it, one of the rounds that I had been a part of it when I was working for Gabby Bernstein. And I followed her on Instagram. She was just on my radar. I saw that, she was in fashion and a designer and also really into mudras and the moon. And, she just kind of had this unique way of approaching higher self-awareness and connecting to metaphysics, and I just thought it was really groovy. And she was really into comedy, so our first date was a comedy show. She invited me to go see Girl with No Job, which was very staged, by the way, but awesome. And our friendship blossomed from there, and she's definitely been such an incredible friend and support system for me here in Philadelphia, and she really holds space for other women as well. She is your go-to self-care guru goddess. Yes, I am calling her a guru goddess. I am going there. I can successfully and rightfully say that because she knows about all the things in ways that I don't think any of us know. She can tell you what crystal is for what oil is for what beauty ritual you need like no other. And so when it comes to embodying the feminine, when it comes to embodying the way that we care for our bodies, when it comes to the way we give ourselves what it is that we need on a very luxurious level, she's got you. You know, it's like she's into this like very self-anointed self-care flow. And I definitely feel like if you were ever to hang out with Jess, just wear a flowy caftan, be ready to be in a really juicy golden environment and just expect to twirl around and be in a romance with the ideology of what this life is. But she's also really fun, really real, which you're going to get, a piece of. So let's just get to my dear, darling, wonderful friend, Jess Naim. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I feel honored.
Obviously. Yeah. So I wanted to have you on for a lot of reasons because I adore you.
Bless.
Yeah. You're like one of my like PHL BFFs.
Thank you.
I know.
Yeah. The feeling is mutual.
Thank you. So can you share with her? So like, what I love about Jess is she like really appeases my triple Leo, which is just like fabulous. And like, I shared a little about Jess in the intro. So just like FYI, I already told them about you.
Cool.
So like they already have like a heads up of like why you're so fabulous and all the fabulous things you do. Right. And so what I love about Jess is that she really appeases to my triple Leo. She does. And like, I feel like, as a triple Leo, like you need that in a girlfriend. So I feel like what's interesting, so her and I met through, like, I started to hear about Jess. Like, I knew she did Spirit Junkie, and, like, I knew she was in Philadelphia. And so, like, when I was starting to get, like, pings of, like, going back to Philly, like, I was starting to, like I would go, I didn't officially make the decision to move, but I would, like, come back here to, like, scope out the scene and, like, check it out and be like, is it prime? Is it ready? And everyone kept being like, you have to, like, sync up with this Jess girl. And I was like, cool. And I like saw your Instagram and I was like, oh, this is like totally like psychedelic, like spiritual, like all the colors, 70s, like rockingness that I like adore. Right. So I was like totally vibing. I was like, I really hope that we get to be friends one day. But then, newsflash, you like got the ping that I was coming to the city when I officially made the decision.
I did. It was it 2015 or something?
2015 is probably when we entered each other's energetic sphere.
Yeah. So I was like doing my thing around town, but Philly was very new to all of this. And I was trying to find sisters, really. And I saw your Instagram and I was like, I don't mean to be too forward, but we're already friends in an etheric realm, and now we just have to do it in real life. So I was aware of you, and I felt strongly that we were going to be in community. And I think it was a couple years later, I think, that we actually really got to meet. Mm-hmm. But I felt comforted that you were here. And I felt that even though we hadn't met yet, you were holding down, you were anchoring in some stuff. I was anchoring in some stuff. And like all of our kind of priestessy sisters here were doing their work. And then we came together when we were supposed to. through comedy.
Comedy. I love for funny stuff.
It's just important to like not take it too seriously. And I feel like we were both on that tip and how to kind of merge those worlds.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I find it's easier because we're considered to be in a smaller scale big city, if that makes sense. And, Philadelphia, I've been here 2 years now, like re-officially, if you will. And it's definitely come a long way. However, it's not super saturated like, some places like New York, LA, Joshua Tree, Austin, right? Like there's all these kind of like little hubs, Woodstock, right? Like where you go and it's just like, we're here for it. Whereas, and you can bring in comedy, but I find it's even easier to bring it in like a city like Philadelphia because it's like we're still like so open and curious. If we're not bringing in the comedy, then it just becomes like too intense.
Yeah. And I've definitely had those phases where my friends were like avoiding me because, I mean, I don't blame them really. Yeah. It was like I wanted to turn everything into like a spiritual sign. Not that I don't still process that within myself when things happen, but I don't need to shove it in everyone's face.
Yeah. I think that's like a normal reaction when you kind of have like a spiritual awakening or you get, you really open up into a spiritual community. You're super excited. And like, I know in my case, like I totally geeked out about it. And you're right. Like I probably ran my mouth too much about it in spaces that maybe I didn't need to. And I know now to kind of like lean back a little bit.
Yeah. And it's not like we're being submissive or cowering. It's just kind of like know your audience and preserve your energy, really.
Yeah. So when was your kind of like big breakthrough into like coming into your spiritual identity?
So it was probably around like 2011.
Side note, I love that you use the years because I do that all the time on the show. I'm always like, so let's circa back, 2012. So summer 7 years ago, like they get my timestamps on everything.
Oh, good.
So this is beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah. So,
so I was really into nutrition and that was like, I was really seeking healing, and I was receiving Reiki and doing those kinds of things, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew that I had these like chronic issues like UTIs and whatever, and they weren't going away. And when I started doing energy work and stuff like that, it really started to shift some ailments. So I would say around 2011, I was really starting to, I guess you could say, intellectually pursuing spirituality, like reading books and things like that and doing meditations. But it was probably more mental at that stage. Entering into 2012, I just had like a really strong intuitive hit that I needed to leave my relationship and live alone and find myself, basically. So it was around September 2012, I got my first apartment by myself, which was something that was scary because at the time I was like a serial monogamous. And had my goddess cards and some key books, know. And I just like deeply explored all kinds of things. I went in and out of different yogic practices, tried all kinds of healing modalities, and even was certified in a couple, like EFT and something called matrix reimprinting, was essentially like a dimensional healing inner child type thing. Whoa. And I just tried a bunch of things, and I even flew to Ireland to have like my higher chakras activated, and I really went for it. I was here for it.
You were available for anything spiritual, ascending.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. New operating system, all the things.
Yes. And it felt like I really had no option, because if I wasn't moving forward in this way, then I was kind of playing out old ancestral dramas and, deeply unhappy. So what initially was a motivation of just getting out of like a depression, anxiety type cycle turned into my purpose work. And then from there, community started to build. And here we are now. And I just couldn't imagine another way of being, really.
Yeah. When do you remember when you kind of had that shift of like, oh, this is my purpose? Like I identify as like being a teacher and a facilitator in this realm?
Yeah, I feel when I really started to see transformation in myself, I had to share. And I already had that kind of role in my day job and just in friendships where I was always kind of like the therapist friend. So I grew up in that role anyways, but when I really learned specific practices that were working, like I do Mudra meditations, I do breathwork type stuff, guided meditations, things like that. When I really started to see that that was changing my reality, I felt like I had to share. Like it was big. And even when I would kind of try and avoid it or get lazy about it, it was almost like the tension inside me was so strong that I couldn't even bear it.
Yeah.
And so I just had to take action in getting some classes in the city. And although I felt somewhat like an imposter at the time, definitely out of my comfort zone, it still felt extremely right, and things fell into place in such a way that it felt meant to be.
Yeah. So there's like a lot with that I want to unpack. So I feel like how many people that are listening right now have played the role of cubicle therapist or cubicle coach, right? I know that was definitely me when I was in my corporate job, and especially as like I was a executive assistant. So like people were trying to get in to see my boss, they couldn't, so that it's like default to me and like throw everything at me, right? Yeah. But I also just kind of had that energy of like, I can help, right? And it's like that energy of, and I'm sure anyone that's listening can relate. Like people just are like, I just like being around you. Like I just want to be around you. I just want to kind of like stand in your energy, so to speak. So I think it's really cool when we can have those moments of realizing, okay, yes, and right, like yes, I work this job, and yes, I tend to have taken on this like honorary role as the office therapist, so to speak. However, how can I actually turn this into a way that feels a little bit more tangible? It feels like more than just kind of like burning our energy by helping our coworkers, so to speak. And I say that in a way not to say like there's something wrong with helping your coworkers, but kind of that shift of how can I turn this into something else? And so, which I'm glad you got the ping. And I think a lot of people listening that are in that space, that are working a 9 to 5 and are in that role, are feeling that way, feeling like it's so funny. I joke with my one old coworker. She was on the other side, like the other side of the wall. So we couldn't see each other, but like I would always give her advice like through the wall. And then like that was our thing. Like I would always just like, we like hardly ever even actually saw each other. We just like communicated through the wall, and like she would tell me her problems or like whatever was going on. And I
like
would
a
just,
confessional.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was like a confessional. Oh my God. Cubicle confessionals.
I like that.
It's a thing.
Show concept.
Yeah. But what's interesting is now she's gone on to get her life coaching certification, and like now she helps other people too. So it's just like fun little stories from the office. However, it's great. And I like adore that story. But I also knew there was more outside of like the office and ways to help. And so a lot of people can relate to that feeling of, I know I can help in another way. And so for you, especially because you're still working a corporate job, so you're still incorporating what it is, what you do in your day-to-day life, and then also bridging that with things that you're doing to help the community, because you're out in the community, like not only just in Philadelphia, but like online as well. You definitely have a presence, and you're constantly like kind of curating things for people. So how do you kind of navigate not just working a corporate job while also doing this work, but even the feeling of like, how did you feel like you could get started? Like, why was it important for you to get started outside of your job to help other people?
Right. Yeah, well, I really felt like as a manager, director type role in the corporate environment, I was still speaking to essentially the agenda of the business. So I would, I work in design with creative people. So I loved the part where I was, inspiring them to find out the kind of designer that they are and inspiring them to take actions in certain ways to advance their career. And that kind of mentorship felt really good. Mm-hmm. But when it came to some more emotional issues that they were having, it was almost like I felt like I was in a box in the corporate setting, because in the end it was like, well, it's just business. So I really needed to take myself out of that environment and try this work where the base intention is everyone being their authentic selves, whatever it takes, kind of a thing. So that's when I really started to share at like Moon and Arrow and Mamas and stuff like that, because it was a playground for me to stretch beyond the box I was in, essentially.
Yeah. Were you nervous at first? What was it like starting out? Like being like, yeah, I'm going to share at Moon and Arrow, Mamas, etc. And for those that aren't Philly based, Mamas is a really amazing prenatal yoga sacred space, and then Moon and Arrow is like the most fabulous shop in the world with it feels like you're in Venice when you walk in. You're like, ooh, vibes. And then you go to the back room and there's events there too, which is amazing. Anyway, continue. How did you even get from that point to be like, okay, understanding that boxed in with the business, need to feel called to share?
Mm-hmm. Well, I had a couple certifications under my belt, and in my hours of getting certified, I had private clients. So I was working one-on-one with people, and we were doing like deep, kind of like regression type meditations or hypnosis type meditations that would shift energy, etc. And I was feeling like just one-on-one was just helping one person, as wonderful as that was and how amazing it was to see them transform. I really felt like with the time I had, I wanted to reach as many people as I could. So that's what got me into the group sharing. Chelsea, the owner of Moon and Arrow, is a supportive spirit sister friend. And I told her my dream, and she said, let's try it out at my space. They were new to workshops then. So it was kind of like we were both newbies trying it out. And so that helped. It started with curiosity and kind of experimental energy. While I was a bit nervous because I had been to some sacred ceremonies with very experienced shamanesses or something like that, I just did my best to take myself out of the comparison mode. And I was like, me doing this at all is better than nothing. And I'm just going to go on that until I feel more comfortable. And that, that got me in the door, essentially. And my feedback from others was that it was comforting and natural, and they enjoyed it. And I learned about the things that weren't so resonant. And I learned about the things that really were. So I customized it, based on feedback and just the act of doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I mean, it's as much as I feel like for a lot of individuals, myself included, it was hard enough to start my very first class or workshop. And I think in my head, I made it into something, again, I think it might just be all my Leo, but I made it into something like much more grandiose than it probably needed to be, especially for the two people that showed up. So yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Side note, people, do not plan how to control your eating through meditation for the holidays workshop the day before Thanksgiving. Yeah. I thought that was a great idea. I could
see how you would put that together. Yeah.
I'm going to make sure you don't binge eat on Thanksgiving. That was like kind of my mentality, and like that you're going to use meditation and it's going to be great. And you're going to carry that all through the holiday season. So yeah, no one signed up. I convinced two people to go. It was also pouring rain. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. And then we never really spoke of it again until now. I actually took a break from classes for like a few months. I think like 4 months, because I was like, I think I need to rethink how I'm doing this.
Right.
But regardless, I like how you were just like, I'm just going to try it and see how it goes. And it seems like you were able to like start simple and like just kind of open up to whoever shows up.
Right.
Take feedback. And not only, I think it's really important too that we don't focus so much on the feedback from others, but also focus on our own intuitive feedback. Like for me, it's really important when I'm teaching to sit down with my intuitive feedback. How did that go? Like realistically, like let's really look at it and be like, what do you feel like went really well? What do you feel like you would want to change for the next time? Not what did you do wrong, but just what do you think you would leave out? Or like, what would you think you would do different? So it doesn't feel like this thing of like total judgment.
Right.
And then you just, keep duplicating it until you refine it. And then you kind of find that thing.
Right. Yeah. I think maybe a part of me that felt inadequate thought I had to throw in everything that I knew.
Right.
So I would definitely say that's, that was kind of like my rookie vibe. This ceremony, then that ceremony, all within one ceremony.
Right.
And
did we really just do 5 ceremonies in one ceremony?
Yeah.
Yes. You're
exactly.
like, and there's a red tent in the back. Let's all bleed together. What?
Huh? Yeah.
I thought I was just here for the moon.
I know. You thought that and some.
You want me to put my crystal where?
I had a 1 hour. Oh my God. Talk about that.
Yeah.
I had a 1 hour window at Mama's Wellness, the yoga studio. And I had to fit into that 1 hour window. So I feel like that parameter really helped me prioritize.
Yeah. I think that's smart. For anyone starting out, you should not do more than an hour.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
And really be respectful of that hour. Yeah.
Yeah. And even in some cases, I would just do 20 minutes. I would just make it purely about, at the time I was doing Mudra meditation circles, I was just making 20-minute circles. I wouldn't do a big monologue in the beginning. It was just like belly breathing, holding mudras, some vibey music, done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
That's cool. And people came back.
They did.
Yeah. They did. And now you host full moon circles in ceremony too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you teach ceremony to others.
Yeah. Basically, the tips on how to hold space, how to create a program that still leaves room for intuitive flow, just like that foundational type stuff. And I really like to help people find their voice within that, and as opposed to emulating maybe an idol or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really important. And I think the space part, clearly holding space is really crucial. And so is the intuitive flow. And remembering, like, again, when you're curating a ceremony or workshop or a class, if you fill it entirely, it gives no breathing room, literally, to the individual to have an experience and to, grow. Like, I think, in our society, we're so like, go, 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 that we're like programmed to fill space. Right. And when it comes to creating these kind of things, like, you don't have to fill space. The beauty is you actually can create as much space as you want. And like, one of the things I always teach my students in my meditation teacher training, I'm like, you have the gift of stillness and space and pause. So if you're ever getting nervous or you don't know what you're doing, just have them breathe a little bit longer until you get your bearings, and then you can go right back into the next thing. But like, no, like, you have the luxury of just holding space and allowing people to be in that. And then you'll intuitively like figure out where to go from there.
Right.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
I like it.
Totally. Yeah.
There's that piece. All right. So that's how you started bringing your workout into the world while also fusing it with what you do during the day. And, and I think through that process, you've just gotten stronger in building community and sisterhood. Like, it's something that's really important to you. And I think people feel that like instantly when they're with you, which is amazing.
Good. Yes.
Yeah. It's winning.
Yeah. It's important to me for, the obvious reasons of, it feeling good, but it also, working in the fashion industry and seeing how women could judge each other or separate from each other, cliques, mean girling vibes, whatever. I felt really called to address that because I've been on the other end of those things, and it's really damaging and unnecessary. So a big motivation for me has been healing the sisterhood and bringing us back together in a way that's supportive, complementary, unified, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've been starting to say a little bit about how, we're moving out of the teenage years of our last decade, right? Like our century is no longer going to be a teenager. And I think our inner teenager has gone through so much. And I feel like this last decade, it was less about healing my inner child, to be honest. And I think it was more about healing my inner teenager and like the things I would go through in like junior high and high school and like coming into my own and like the pressure and the burdens that you feel. And the confusing sisterhood.
Right.
Like for me, I was never bullied per se, but I never really knew where my place was. Like I kind of like got along with everybody, but I didn't really know, like, am I included here? Am I included there? Like, I never knew where my place was.
Right.
And that was always troubling. And then I would see other people, like, kind of playing the game or bullying others. And it was just like, I never knew where I belonged. And that's like that was always a big one that stood out for me.
Yeah.
It's just like,
that outcast kind of vibe. And, it's like on that primal level, we're like, are we safe? We're not in the tribe. What tribe are we in?
Right. But I would be like, but I don't know if I like the tribes I'm seeing.
Right.
It was like confusing.
Right.
Or like if I did find a tribe I liked, there was that fear of like, would I be judged for being in that tribe? Or should I just try to like make my way into the cool tribe?
Triple Leo stuff.
Triple Leo. I was all over the place. I'm still all over the place. Actually, now I think about it, like I can't sit still anywhere. I have way too many social circles. It's true. Actually, now I think about it,
I think it's great.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have a better
I think
handle
it's great.
on it now.
It's more fun.
Yeah. Well, it's way more fun now, but in high school, it's like different.
Yeah, high school.
There's like those silly dynamics, but like you see it play out more so in your, like, again, being in the fashion industry. Like, it's like people never stopped that dichotomy.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's like a status oriented type thing. And I feel like that industry is evolving, thankfully. Just like, advertisements, seem to have somewhat more diversity, whether they're doing it, because they're supposed to or not.
Right.
But just for example, Curvy Business. The Curvy Business has been a need for a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember even being in companies, around like the mid, early 2000 era, like 2006-ish. And, we would pitch things like curvy or, unisize or whatever. Full figured. And it was scoffed at back then for sure. Like people didn't want a part of it. Even though there was a ton of money in it, they were so afraid that would hurt their image as a brand.
So they chose their image over.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
And now here today, it's like most companies are going that direction. They've recalibrated their sizing to go from tiny to whatever. And I think it shows how diverse our bodies are, but it's also the companies really admitting to themselves that like they were just servicing a very specific niche of human, and then the humans that didn't fall into that felt like there was something wrong with them.
Right.
And I'm glad that is being addressed over time, no matter how long it may take.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to continue to shift and kind of shape, however, become more normalized for sure, especially as certain generations start to phase out, as morbid as that may sound.
Right. I say the same thing.
Yeah. I'm like, well, as more people go, more people kind of in the Piscean age you know, that were born under that
Right.
lineage, they phase out, and we can more move into our Aquarian beliefs and diversity. And it's about being you.
Right.
And whatever reflection your body takes is just a reflection of you. So let's celebrate it, you know.
Absolutely.
But it's still a tricky one for sure. I mean, I think, you know, myself, I know we've had conversations around our bodies and kind of the ebbs and flows, and every day is kind of like, what's it going to be like?
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, I definitely had that struggle. You know, my mom had that struggle. So I remember being like a 10-year-old, and my mom said, just wait till puberty, you know, the women in our family, that's when we gain our weight. And at the time I was kind of like, bummer.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really tuned into it yet. I wasn't like sexualized yet or anything like that. But then I, you know, went through puberty, whatever. I mean, to be honest, I was just really into fast food living in Ohio in the mid-90s. So that probably had a lot to do with me gaining a bunch of weight.
What was your favorite fast food situation?
Love Taco Bell.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see that. We just had tacos.
Yeah, we did.
It was not Taco Bell.
No, it wasn't.
When was the last time you had Taco Bell?
Oh, God. It probably would be high school.
Really? Okay.
Or maybe early college.
Right. Anyway, continue.
And yeah, like I kind of like fulfilled the prophecy.
Yeah, well, it's true.
You know, I believed it was so.
Right, because what mother says is just the way it is. So you're like, great. So you, without totally like being conscious or aware of it, were fulfilling it. And being like, okay, this is how the women in our lineage operate and transform, and so I will play a part. And how great that it gets to be delicious.
It gets to be delicious.
It gets to be delicious.
Yum yum.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gained weight in high school. I was promptly enrolled in Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
And then my relationship with food, points, calories, all of that begun.
Labels.
And yeah. Yeah. And you know, it really just kind of built on the existing insecurity I had just from like kind of like inherited beliefs and societal messaging at the time. I watch a movie from the 90s now and I'm just like, oh my God, this is terrible messaging. Like
so bad.
The patriarchal bullshit and all the stuff. Like it was so normalized then, and now it's thankfully very obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time it was like I really struggled with my self-esteem around my body and my body image and things like that. And getting into the fashion industry, it didn't necessarily help. But now when I reflect back on all of it, it makes perfect sense with what I do. And I've been embodying and reclaiming the body ever since I even knew that was a practice. And while sometimes it's a little, you know, rocky, I guess you could say, I can say I'm in a place where I am much more accepting of myself, although I might not be like, you know, the tiniest of tinies.
But why would you have to be the tiniest of tinies to be in a space of full acceptance?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which I even lost a bunch of weight once and I didn't like it because it didn't feel like me. I was like, I have a juicy ass. Yeah. I was born to have a juicy ass.
You were. That's the lineage we're talking about. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
That nice juicy peach.
Gotta love it.
Right. So when it went away, what did you feel like?
I felt like I was conforming, to be honest. I felt like it wasn't me. Yeah. And you know, it just wasn't right for me. So I reframed all that and it became about health. And me being healthy, me having energy, me you know, being radiant, things like that. So, yeah, it's been a real journey.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, myself included. And I think yeah, I think that energy of like losing a bunch of weight because you feel like you're supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
it does feel like a solid. And I remember when there was a point where I dropped a lot. I was like down to like right now, average, I'm like a 10, let's say, some like 8, 10, but I got down to like 4, 6, which is like, that's too small for me. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I didn't, there was nothing I really loved about it except the fact that I could buy a size 4 and 6.
Right.
That was the only thing I liked. I liked the fact that I was able to like fit into that.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. But it wasn't like I felt any different in the mirror, or I had more confidence, or I
Right.
felt like men liked me better,
Right.
or anything. Like I felt like I got nothing out of it except for the fact that like, cool, now you can spend your money on all these new clothes that really didn't last me very long, right? Because eventually my body was like, we can't keep this up because this isn't your healthy weight. This isn't your happy weight. This isn't where we like you. We can't sustain you at this, right? Like you're going to have to overexert yourself to stay at this smaller size. And so eventually, it went back. And then I think it actually probably just kept going, and I probably went to the other end, right? Because that's kind of my mentality. It's like, well, fine. If I can't be this size, then, fuck it. And then I'll just go up to a 14, and that's just my range for me, right? Everyone's different. But, yeah, I think it's interesting when we look at the reasons why we're manipulating our weight or why we're trying to be a certain size. And I think for me, it was just like this, like, sick satisfaction of the space of like, finally, I did it. I got to that weight that I've been told I needed to be since I was 11 years old, and then it's like, oh, all it brought me was literally just being this weight.
Right.
But nothing else changed.
No.
At all.
No. If anything, I think I felt more unsafe on some capacity, because I realized that I was wanting to hide my body in general, just from like kind of like unwanted sexual energy, unwanted sexual attention.
Right.
So I remember when I lost the weight, I was kind of like still wearing big clothes.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't really dealt with those feelings of being unsafe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really is true how much we think there is this belief of like, when I lose I know we all say it now, like, it's not true that when you lose 10 pounds, you'll be happy, or when, but I think there's still a part of us that secretly like believes that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, if I just lose those 10 pounds, there's something waiting there for me that I just can't seem to get right now. And like, yeah. And it's like, no, let's dismiss that chasing energy, right? That impatience, that lack of trust. That's really what it is. That I think sometimes when I know for me, like that space of when I lose the 10 pounds, or when I make this much money, or, when I achieve this level of success, there's another level of happiness waiting for me or something.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sold to us that way.
Yeah.
We're frolicking in a field with a super hot guy, like all our problems are gone.
Visual.
Bringing that in.
Yeah,
bringing that in.
He's not wearing
no
a
matter
shirt.
What you look like. Yeah. Ooh.
Yum. Cutie. Tall. Love. Cutie. So yeah, and I think what that's saying is I don't trust myself, I don't trust my path, and I don't trust my God. Really. It's like saying like, I don't trust the present moment. I don't trust that I have everything I need right now. And so I'm chasing, and I'm believing that there's something that I can unlock, so to speak.
Right.
It's like we're finding there's nothing there. There's no treasure.
There really isn't. It was like more about the process and the fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like an addiction, really.
It really is an addiction. And we can mask it as growth.
Yeah.
Right? We mask it as goals. We mask it as, well, I want to be more successful. I want to better my life.
Right. And
it's like, yes, and how can you do it in a way where you also are able to feel really good now? It's like, it's got to be from that place. It's got to be from that place that I feel complete, and I also see where I could expand, or I see what's coming up next. Because we do have to grow. We have to evolve. Like there is benefit in expansion. However, how do we do it in a way that is conscious, grounded, and also makes us feel like I'm cool where I'm at,
Right.
you know? And I also think this would be really cool too. So I'm going to kind of work on that while also just being awesome in the moment.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime I make things pleasurable, I'll engage. So for me, I was, the intention became health and not size. And then from there, it was like different practices that were just so delicious. Like I have like a weird love for foam rolling.
I know you do.
I have like such a love for it. And
we went
Lauren
on a road
Roxborough,
trip and she bought it. She brought her foam roller. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What is this?
Just flushing that lymph, massaging those muscles. And I noticed that like that makes me like supple. Things are circulating. I feel like things have distributed in my body. Also like the face version, like the Gua Sha, just like doing facial massage that also happens to flush the lymph, which happens to make me look less puffy, whatever. So it's almost like using those practices of self-maintenance, but they're enjoyable. They're things I want to do every day. I'm not doing it because I need to, because if I don't, I'm going to, not like myself or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
And for me, when I started to learn more about self-care practices in that way, it took the pressure off of food having to do everything.
Yeah.
There was this feeling like that food is the cure-all for everything. Good skin, perfect size, like everything, like any ailment and whatever in the entire world, like the food. And that just creates more of that addiction and that like weird relationship with it. Whereas like you have a lot of practices, and I've learned a lot from you, and just the way that you show up for life in a very organic, natural way, like using nature, using like, just all these like amazing tools that are out there that are old. Like you use a lot of like old century old, like stuff like before Jesus probably was like, that's like your jam. You're like, ooh, you're like, Buddha did this?
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah. Temple of Isis. I'm like,
done.
Yes.
Yes. The cave women were about this. Perfect.
It's almost like I trust it more, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So share some of your favorite self-care rituals.
Well, as I mentioned, Gua Sha.
What's that for people that don't know?
Yes, it's a stone, various like quartz or jade that you can. It's shaped like a flipper almost, and you just use it in certain directions and strokes on your face that trigger pressure points, that release tension, things like that. But it's also, your face is your body in general is very suggestible. So you do some facial massage and it really like, circulates and things like that. I try and do it, once a week. That seems to be enough. If you're someone who like is just getting started, you can do it every day for a bit. You can do it before bed and you'll really sleep well. So that's definitely at the top of my list.
Do you oil up before you do it?
Yeah, you do like a hydrosol, rose water type thing, and then you do an oil, and you really slather it on because you want that stone to glide with ease. You don't want like slick pulling or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't prep your face and you do shot, it's very awkward. It's like having sex with a guy before you're ready. You're like, I haven't been lubed up
just
yet.
like that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what it feels
pulling, like. Slight burning, what have you.
Yeah.
And
awkward
we don't need to do that to ourselves. Awkward angles. Yeah. Oh Lord. Yeah, that's a big one. Sacred baths. So I do a lot of like salt baths, mud baths. I put crystals in there.
What mud do you put in your mud bath? Like at home?
Yeah. There's like clay. I mean, it's not clean, but it's you do
just that
like
before the cleaning lady comes. Like that's the bath.
Yeah, like I'll like fuck up the bathroom with that mud bath. Like the night before.
Yeah. You're like Encino Man.
Or else
out.
I'm like on my hands and knees scrubbing.
Got it.
Which is fine too.
Of course.
It's probably worth it.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like a clay powder that you can put in the bath.
Wow.
It's like a detox powder. Another ancient formula. And I really like to like, I'll either put on some kind of like sound healing music and get in the bath, let the water vibrate with the music, have my...
I'm happy to record my gong for you.
Yes. No, seriously, I'm all about it. Like that kind of vibe. Are you kidding me? I feel so fucking goddessy when I'm in that bath. And it's just like nothing can fuck with me. Oh. Even if the water isn't hot, I'm just still like happy. Yeah. Really? I mean, it's not preferred. Yeah. Like but I'm just like, yeah. I'm still like, I mean, the bath is, it's like I'm in the cauldron of my own, intentions. I love it. I know. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And there's just so much stuff out there. Be a fly on that wall. I know. I'll like rub myself down. Yeah. So I would say bath. I do like breathwork meditations and things like that. Just to kind of clear the channel. Sure. Mudras. I like to use like aromatherapy, like really nice essential oils and just like huff those for a while. Yeah. You put them in a paper bag? I don't do the paper bag, but I do the hand cupping. And then like when I'm like floating, that's when I'm like ready. And that shit will, like, I go to work and the tension sometimes is like, chaos. And I have this like fir spruce blend and I just, huff that for like a minute. And it's like people could be running in circles around me and I'm just like, I'm in the forest. I'm like, yeah. I'm in the forest. Talk to me when you feel better. I'll be here. Hope you burn off some energy while you're running around me. Yeah. 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 And then lately, I've been talking your ear off about this, but I've been doing more pleasure practices in the form of self-pleasure. And one of my favorite books right now is called Pussy, a Reclamation, and by Regina Thomas Hauer. And she's Mama Gina. She has other books out as well. And she just really has dedicated her life to studying pleasure practices for women. So like ancient methods, like a jade egg type thing, which is a crystal egg that you put in your yoni and do various exercises with for your pelvic floor, etc. And I've tried that. I don't so much love the egg practice. It just didn't really stick with me. Literally. Yeah. I had to lay that egg. Yeah, same. My body just kept wanting to lay it. Immediately. It's like, we're good. I'm like, well, I know. Try it. And I took so much energy to keep it in that I was like exhausted. Right. And I like wanted to be that kind of woman that like walks around with an egg inside and just like has that little secret to herself. Yeah. And to those of you who do that, like, hot. Yeah, like blessed be. Like blessed be. I was really trying to do it when I lived in Manhattan. I had this image of me like being on the subway with like my rose quartz yoni egg. Yeah, it never happened. Yeah. Never happened. I couldn't make it out the door. Yeah. And you know what? Like the yoni was like, don't put stuff in me like a lot. Right. Like I don't want that vibe. No. Because it was still like this insertion thing. And like I don't even use tampons because it's like I get the message that like I don't want a tampon. Yeah. Even though foreign. It's like a little foreign, it's a little weird. Yeah. She's saving her vagina for a penis. The right peen. Yes. That's how committed she is to waiting. Yeah. I haven't used a tampon. Sacred celibacy. I haven't used a tampon since I felt you existed. Yeah. I hardly wipe around that area. Oh my God, the day America gets bidets, I'll be so happy. But there is one tool. There is a wand of sorts that I am into.
Okay.
And I found it randomly in one of my like deep dives for ancient rituals. And it's called PsychK Series. And it's basically...
Wait, how do you spell that? Like series, like...
Ceres.
Ah, got it.
I called it Sarah's forever until I listened to a blog and they said series.
You listened to a blog?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or, you know, video blog. Vlog?
Vlog. The old vlog.
The old vlog.
All right. So, PsychK Series.
Yeah. PsychK Series.
PsychK Series.
Yeah. And it's crystals and herbs that were kind of like pressed together in a wand form. And it's like a cleansing wand. So if you do have any kind of like pH issues going on, maybe you do use tampons and, you know, not to get preachy, but like the conventional ones are bleached. And so you can absorb that.
It's so silly. Why do they bleach them? What color do they look like when they're not bleached?
They're still white. The ones that I've seen.
We just want them like
the 7th generation ones are. Yeah. I think they go to like, maybe they don't have to use like same part of the cotton. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a random one. Another thing that you helped me with by switching over, and I feel so much healthier, is now I only use organic bamboo underwear. And that
oh my God,
has been, I can't tell you the difference I feel. Yeah. So much so that like if for some reason like laundry's low or like, you know, I need something a little sexier for some reason, and I default to like an old pair, like I feel it immediately.
Do you?
Yeah, I get like itchy or I get like red, and I'm like, shit. Like it goes to show, like the dyes and like
the dyes
are not good for down there.
Yeah, black dye. It has a lot of.
That's the worst one.
That's the worst one.
Really?
And and that's the color I wear.
Yeah,
it's like the sassy one.
Yeah,
I mean, black and red dyes are the worst ones.
I never was into red underwear. Not even for like sexiness.
Too like hot topic for you.
I guess. I don't know. You know what it is? Okay, this is what it is. This is a weird story that I've never shared with anybody in my entire life.
Ooh.
And she's passed, so I can do it now. I remember like being like 9 years old or something and going to the like a public bathroom with my grandma, right? Like, you know, like I have to go to the bathroom and like we share a stall and we both go. And I remember she was wearing red underwear. And I remember being like, ew. Why is she wearing red underwear? Like, I just remember being, like, so turned off by my grandma wearing red underwear. Because I guess in my head, you just think, like, grandmas wear, like, white or beige. Yeah. And they're, like, big and whatever. But these were, like, lacy red, like, briefs. It wasn't, like, a thong. But it was, like, you know, like, yeah. And I think ever since then, I was just, like, I'm not here for that.
It was too much for you?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why I don't wear red underwear.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, Gramps.
Sorry,
I mean, kudos to you for doing it.
I know. I mean, they had their little sassy thing going on.
Yeah, but she was single at that time, too.
Oh.
Yeah, her husband had passed. So.
Well, I mean, I guess it's like when you're wearing like something sexy, even if no one else sees it, you have that vibe.
Right. And that's what we were trying to evoke with the yoni egg.
Right.
Kind of, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I didn't realize, so black and red are the most intense dyes.
Yeah. They have certain chemicals in them that a lot of people are allergic to.
Interesting.
So it's like, yeah, if you're having like weird kind of itchy stuff going on, try the underwear first and see what that can do. And also like don't wear underwear as much as possible. Like at home and things like that.
What do you sleep in?
Just a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't wear underwear.
No.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, just let her breathe.
Yeah.
But then this wand.
Anyway, so the wand.
Yeah, no.
Now that I'm finding out what you wear.
Yeah, it was like a giant tie-dye t-shirt.
I've seen that t-shirt.
Nothing else.
Yeah. I didn't know there was nothing else underneath.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Sassy.
Yeah.
The wand also helps with pH and things like that, but it's also for like hormonal balance. So if you have like breakouts, especially in that lower half of your face, like around the chin, jaw area, it's most likely like a hormonal association. So this will help with hormone balancing and adrenal balancing. It'll balance out whatever chemicals from underwear, tampons.
If you were on birth control.
Spermicide. Because spermicide is a doozy too. I know. There's good stuff out there now.
Is there organic spermicide?
Not spermicide, because I think that's just that.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong now because people are developing all the time.
Sure.
But I have yet to find one. Lube, yes.
Yeah.
Spermicide,
lube, sure.
No.
Woo More Play, which is a sponsor of the show.
Oh, nice.
It's an organic lube, coconut oil.
I gotta try.
It's fun.
Slip and slide.
It works well. They like it. It has a little bit of grit to it as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Like, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like a good grittiness.
Interesting.
But yeah, maybe there is a spermicide version of it.
Yeah, I wonder.
I don't know. You have to bring that up on your next date. So tell me.
Yeah.
On your side of things, what's the latest?
What's the latest development?
Yeah, spermicide. I want to kill those bad boys. But in an organic way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's like herbs or something. There's gotta be like, I don't even know. Like everyone's on that celery juice craze, but like one of the side effects of celery juice from, what I've discovered is it actually keeps the sperm from sticking to like uterine walls and things like that.
Shit.
So if you are on the celery juice craze and you're trying to get pregnant, like that could be a little bit of a difficulty. But if you're not trying to get pregnant, then have at it.
Actually, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I wouldn't say like
no, it's
just
it shouldn't be. I tried the celery juice birth control method. Yeah. And I have twins. What happened?
I have twins, but I feel great. I just can't stop shitting myself. Yeah, that's like another one of them. And then there's like teas and things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Not spermicide from what I know.
Yeah. All right. To be continued on that one.
Yeah.
If anyone knows,
feel free
to chime in.
Yeah.
On that piece of things. So how's dating going?
Dating?
Any spermicide potentials? I guess
there's a couple of spermicide potentials, but I'm doing this thing that I've not really done before, and I'm circular dating. Oh. So I'm actually not sleeping with anybody. I'm just, dating and talking to people. Mm-hmm. So the key to that was, healing sessions with people on past stuff,
sure.
Figuring out my beliefs.
Of course.
And also really honing in on what it is I'm looking for. And if the picture isn't totally painted, that's fine, because that's what dating is for. Mm-hmm. But I know essentially what I'm looking for. And exercising my words. So I say, this is what I'm into. If they're not into it, bye. Yeah. If I say this is what I'm into and they're into it, then, we keep talking.
Cool. You made it to the next round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the key to that is to having like multiple people you're entertaining is that you don't really kind of laser focus on anyone. And I don't know about other people, but I had that tendency before where I would get all excited about one person. Yeah. And then I would just like get into a committed relationship with them.
And you didn't even know them.
And I barely knew them. It was all like hormonal at that point. Mm-hmm. And hopeful thinking. I would date them for however many years. And then, turns out we don't actually want the same things. So right now, I'm 37. I'm looking for like a nesting type vibe with someone. Like in a one-on-one type of way.
Yes.
And
we don't need multiple birds in the nest.
Yeah. Nowadays it's like, hey, whatevs you want. But I'm kind of like playing the one-on-one card right now.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm just like, I'm chatting with people. If I do feel myself kind of like wanting to get attached to something, I just really lean into it. I breathe into like whatever is pulling that in, and usually it's a part of myself where I feel like I'm inadequate and I need someone else to fill me up. So I'll I use the dating almost as a mirror to see where, you know, I'm still kind of feeling weak or insecure about my own power. And yeah, and just like having fun with it, you know, like it's fun.
Yes.
You know, like,
yeah.
say whatever you want about guys, but like, bless their hearts.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing their best. And when they're not in your life.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Like, they can figure it out on their own time.
100%.
You know?
They can do healing sessions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel hopeful because the guys I have been attracting more recently are open in that way and seem to want to have want to better themselves or want to understand relationship more and communication and things like that. So it makes me feel good about, you know, where guys are going as well. So yeah, it's just like having fun, playing, seeing what comes up, you know, holding myself when I need to hold myself.
Yes.
But like really making it about connection. And like for me, it's like when I'm about to go out with someone, I'm like, you know, we could be friends, we could be lovers, he could be, you know, a person I settle down with, but I'm just gonna like walk in with that openness so I don't like try and force it into something that it isn't.
Right. Like try to project an agenda or again make someone into something they may not be.
Absolutely.
And that's like no bueno.
Right.
And giving the other person a lot of power too.
Right.
That was my thing I used to do. I used to put like so much power, like pressure on them to like be a certain role for me because I just wanted it so bad.
Right.
You know, and then when they couldn't, something was wrong with me.
Right.
And it was like, what? Well, I guess technically yes, but because I was putting all this pressure on them. But you know, now it's kind of like I call it the funnel. So like circular dating, same thing. The funnel. It's like everyone's kind of like swirling around this funnel, and eventually one person will come through.
Right.
Right. And but in the meantime, like not over fixating on one person in particular, being really like strong and controlled around when you're seeing like signs that this isn't a match, this isn't what you're looking for. Say goodbye now.
Right.
There's no like, oh, let's wait and see, or let's give them another chance, because the more that you give that person a quote unquote another chance, the more you're going to start to fixate on something that isn't real or isn't part of your truth or what you set out for, you know?
Right.
And being honest, which is difficult, being honest on a date, saying what you're looking for. But sometimes that can feel awkward, especially if the other person's not looking for the same thing.
Exactly. And, you know, that's one of the reasons that I don't sleep with people because, you know, I get emotionally attached, you know, like
for sure.
You know, like I start to make it something more and just because we had that intimate encounter. So, no judgment. Exchange. People can, you know, sometimes people don't always have that experience, but for me and my emotional, you know,
well, because
alchemy.
And you're looking to nest right now. So like when you're looking to nest, of course, sex is going to convert into emotion and closeness.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. We go through phases. I went through a phase where I was like all about one night stands because that was the only thing I had room for. It was the only thing I wanted. So I didn't get attached because that was my agenda. Whereas now, like similar to you, like I'm not sleeping with anyone either because I'm like, I'm not looking to go there until we've both established we're in a place that is aligned on the same page and like feels really groovy. That they made it through the funnel.
Yes.
Now you can see my funnel. Oh, did an egg just pop out? Oh, I'm sorry. What? How did that get there? Oh my god. What? Is that a what? Okay, I guess not. Anyway, you got any organic spermicide? Let's get this party started. And they're gone. Oh no.
Love it.
Oh boy, I tried.
They're all about it.
They are. Yeah, they are. They're much less picky about stuff in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my god. We're the ones picking ourselves apart.
Oh,
they're not.
Sure.
They're not. They're the reading energy, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're not micro-assessing like we are.
No.
We have an ability to do that.
Absolutely.
Where they're very one-dimensional in their thinking. Or so I think anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, when I feel that zone, like the micro criticism, like before I went on the last date I went on, I was like, I just like felt fucking nervous because it had been a while, whatever.
Yeah.
And I like pulled a Mullabunda / Kegel. So I like got into my body, and then I repeated myself until I walked in the door and saw him that I was a gorgeous, radiant, interesting being walking down the street. It's a miracle. And I just affirmed the shit out of myself until I like met eyes with him, and then it was like, and then the night went from there.
Yeah.
But if I was in any awkward type space, I would just do that kind of inner dialogue, and it would open my heart. I would be relaxed. So yeah, that's like another little fun thing you can do. And they read that, they feel that energy. They really do.
Yeah. They feel it right when you walk into that restaurant.
Yeah.
Or that bar, or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true. I've gotten way better at that too. I'm like, you're a babe. Just go have some fun. And if it's not fun, great. You have more material for your stand-up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's a really good spin.
I mean, it's true. It becomes a funny story. I mean, you don't have to necessarily do stand-up, but for your girlfriends, right? Like, how many times have you...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Had those moments where when it's not like a date where you're like super excited and be like, oh my gosh, like it went really well. And you get the joy of unpacking the weirdness that happened.
Yeah.
Which can be funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and you can make money off of it. I monetize everything. Who am I kidding? I'm like,
why not?
If there's a way to make money off my bad date, then I will.
It's the economy we live in.
Yeah, it's the way I run my life. So, all good. Well, Godspeed. Perhaps by the time this episode... Godspeed. Perhaps by the time this airs, you will be paired.
I will be paired, or the CEO of a natural spermicide company. We'll see.
Yeah, well, a lot can happen in the next 10 days, because that's about the turnaround time we're looking at. So,
got it.
Yeah,
cool.
You can be posted. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I was very delighted to be invited.
Yeah. So, how do you want people to stalk you?
I would say Instagram is probably the best, most up-to-date way. Are you going to type it in, or should I?
Yes.
I'll say it right now. It's Jess, JESS _ Naim, NAIM _. And my picture is me with like a rainbow coming out of my eye.
But not in a creepy way.
Yeah, like in like a cool way.
Yeah, in a very groovy way. It's been that picture pretty much forever.
I know it has. I think about changing it, but then I don't know. It's like cute. It's like reminds me of me first starting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good one. It works.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it.
Cool.
All right, cool. So people can find you there. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, she hosts monthly full moon circles and ceremony at Mama's.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And if you're single and here for it, you can find her on Hinge. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we got all our bases covered.
And that's where I am right now. Or walking the streets of Queen Village.
All right, we don't have to give that much information.
Shit.
All right.
Delete that one.
Calm down.
Stalkers.
Calm down. All right. Well, I adore you.
I adore you.
Thank you for coming on and sharing all your wisdom.
Thank you for having me.
All my favorite people that listen.
This was super fun. Thank you for having me.
Of course, all the things.
All the things.
Bless.
Bless.
Mwah. So good. So tell me, did you love this episode? While I may not need your validation, I certainly love it. So go ahead and make sure that you are following or subscribed or have reviewed this podcast in whatever app you listen to. And let's support the show by supporting each other. Share this out with a friend or someone that you know would just love to have a juicy listen. I adore you. You're amazing. Thank you.